I still remember the sound that letter made when it slid from the stack, like it was trying to run from my hands, as if it knew I wasn't supposed to read it. Goodness gracious, my dear child, I can still hear it, that soft little flutter, like the wings of a frightened bird, falling onto the old wooden floor of my cabin here in the North Pole. Lord have mercy! Even after all these centuries, some sounds just don't fade. Come closer now. Sit by the fire with me. Oh, don't worry about the cold wind rattling the windows. That's just the North Pole singing her midnight song. And that warm smell of pine and cinnamon? MMHMM. That's Mrs. Claus' touch. She always said a story should smell like home. But tonight, darling, this ain't a story I tell lightly. This is a confession, one I've carried for longer than I care to admit. You see, every Christmas Eve, my job is to deliver what children write to me, not open what they never meant for my eyes. But this one letter, sweetheart, this one changed something in me, broke something, healed something. I ain't quite sure which. And before I go on, my dear one, if this story touches your heart even a little, subscribe and stay close to me till the end. Old Santa's got more memories than snowflakes, and I'd love to share 'em with you. Now, where was I? Yes, that night, the fire was crackling. The lanterns were glowing soft and gold. Outside, the reindeer hooves were tapping impatient like against the frost. They always sense when a strange night's comin'. The cabin felt too quiet, even for the pole. Too still, like the whole world was holding its breath. And that's when I saw it. A letter, small and crumpled, slipped out from beneath thousands of others. The envelope wasn't red or green or glittered like children usually send. No, this one looked worn, torn, as if someone had gripped it too hard. The name on the front wasn't written in crayons or markers. It was written with, well, I suppose you'd call it a shaky grown-up hand. That alone made my heart stutter. Adults don't write to Santa, not usually. And when they do, it's really something good. My fingers brushed the envelope. And I swear, sweetheart, the paper felt cold. Not North Pole cold, not winter cold. A different cold, a lonely cold. And I whispered to myself, Lord have mercy, what are you doing, old man? This ain't yours to open. But something ancient and heavy, pulled inside my chest. You ever get that feeling, darling? Like the air around you changes 'cause fate just stepped into the room? Tell me, my sweet child, have you ever carried a secret you were afraid to confess? I'd love to hear your story too. I held that letter between my fingers, gently, as if it might crumble. The candle by my elbow flickered like it was begging me not to read it. But my thumb brushed the flap, and before I could stop myself, I opened it. And oh, bless your heart, I wish I could tell you I was ready for the words inside. But I wasn't. My breath caught. My old heart, the one that's lived through more Christmases than stars in the sky, felt like it cracked just a little. The letter began, Dear Santa, I know you probably don't read letters from people like me, but this is my last Christmas. And there's just one thing I wish for. Sweetheart, Even now, saying those words aloud makes the fire seem dimmer. I blinked hard, trying to focus, trying to steady myself. Outside, the wind howled like a mournful choir. The walls creaked. Everything in the cabin went to quiet again, too still. And that voice on the page, that fragile, grown-up voice, went on, I don't want toys. I don't want gifts. I don't want anything you can put in a box. I just want to know why she left. I froze. My breath fogged the air, she? Who was she? And why, in the name of all that's holy and jolly, would someone write me about a heartbreak? You ain't gonna believe this part, child. But for the first time in centuries, I felt helpless. I lowered the letter, staring into the fire like it might have answers. The flames crackled back at me, dancing shadows trickling across the old wooden beams overhead, as if whispering secrets only ancient fires know. But I had no answers. Not yet, and the letter. Well, it only got heavier from there. The next line. Oh, Lord have mercy. Her name was Anna, and she used to tell me that Santa could fix anything, but she never came home. I pressed my palm to my forehead. The room swayed a little. Not from age. No, Santa's bones are sturdy as ever, but from sorrow. Deep, human sorrow. This wasn't a Christmas wish. This was a wound so deep it bled right through the ink. And I, foolish old Santa, had opened it. But darling, what was I supposed to do? Pretend I hadn't read it? Pretend I hadn't felt the crush and ache in every word? Pretend a soul out there wasn't crying out for something only the heavens knew how to answer? No, no, I couldn't. Not this time. You see, every few centuries, a letter like this finds its way to me. A letter that wasn't meant to be read, but was meant to be found. And this one, this shaky, desperate, frost-bitten note, carried something else. Something strange. Something magical. But not the kind I work with. It felt like a secret pulling me toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. The letter continued. Santa, if you can hear me, if you can see me, please, just tell me where she is. My fingers trembled. The log popped in the hearth. Sparks flared like tiny stars bursting. I whispered into the dark, Child, whoever you are, what pain have you been carrying alone? The last line. My dear, brace your heart. Because I didn't. Before she left, she told me she was going to see you. I stumbled back in my chair. The cabin tilted. The air turned sharp. Thin dot no one comes to see me without magic involved, or without a reason darker than winter's longest night. Why would anyone say that? Why would Anna leave her home, her loved ones, her life, to come to the North Pole, unless she had something to confess, or something to hide, or something she could no longer run from. And in that moment, sweetheart, that exact moment, I remembered the face of a young woman I'd met long ago. A face I'd buried deep inside my memories because it hurt too much to keep. A face with winter blue eyes, and a secret she begged me never to speak of. The fire dimmed. My heartbeat slowed. A chill seeped into my bones, not from the cold, but from the truth dawning inside me. Goodness gracious, I whispered. It can't be her. It just can't. But it was. And the letter in my hands? It was from the person she'd left behind. This memory, this one right here, it sits in my chest like an old knot in a wooden beam. You touch it, and the whole cabin creaks. Now, let me tell you what happened after I read that letter. I sat there with the envelope trembling in my hands, the fire crackling low, the shadows stretching long across the old wooden floors of my North Pole cabin. Outside, the wind had started howling in a way I didn't much like. It wasn't the usual winter singing. No, darling, this was something else. A warning, a reminder, a ghost of a memory blowing back into my life. And as the lantern flickered, I whispered, Anna, Lord have mercy. Why did you come to me? Because the truth is, child, I knew who she was, but I had spent centuries pretending I didn't. Now listen close. This is where the air turns heavier, and the story dips into places Santa don't talk about often. I leaned back in my old rocking chair, the one carved from enchanted pine, older than most countries. Its creak echoed across the room like a sigh from the past, and I closed my eyes, just for a moment, and suddenly I was there again. Snowstorm howling, lanterns swinging, elves rushing to bolt the shutters before the blizzard swallowed the workshop whole. And then a knock. Soft, faint, almost swallowed by the storm. But nothing, and I mean nothing, survives a North Pole blizzard unless magic is involved, or desperation. I remember walking toward the door, boots heaving against the floorboards, my beard thick with frost, my heart beating in my ears louder than the wind. And when I opened that door, there she was. Anna. Small, soaked, shivering, eyes wide like she had run from the very devil himself. My dear child, the look she gave me still haunts my winter nights. Santa, she gasped, clutching her coat tight. I didn't know where else to go. Oh, sweetheart, to hear a grown woman say that at my doorstep, it cut something deep inside me. People think Santa only belongs to the children, but I've seen grown folks with pain that would melt the North Pole itself. I stepped aside, pulled her into the warm glow of the cabin, and shut out the storm behind her. Bless your heart, I murmured, wrapping a thick wool blanket around her shoulders. You must have walked 1,000 miles to reach me. Her lips trembled. No, I didn't walk. Santa, she whispered. I followed a light. It led me here. It called me. A chill crawled up my spine. You see, darling, the only light that leads to my cabin is the North Star's secret flame, a magic older than I am. It calls souls who are chosen, or lost, or burdened with something the world ain't allowed to see. I hadn't seen that flame guide anyone in nearly 200 years. Something was wrong. Real wrong. She sat by the fire, hands trembling over the warmth, and after a few minutes of silence, she looked up with eyes full of the saddest courage I've ever seen. Santa, I didn't come for a gift. Her voice cracked. I came for forgiveness. Now, Lord, have mercy. You ever felt your whole body go still in an instant? That's exactly what happened. It felt like even the fire held its breath. Forgiveness? I repeated, kneeling beside her. For what, sweetheart? She turned toward me, and her voice turned softer than snowfall for what I did and for what I'm planning to do. My heart dropped. There it was, the truth I'd feared, the truth she carried like a storm. I didn't push her, didn't demand answers. I simply placed my gloved hand over hers, warm against cold, and whispered, "You tell me when you're ready, darling. Santa's got all the time in the world." A tear slid down her cheek. That was the first time she cried, but not the last. Back in my cabin in the present, I opened my eyes, breath in shakily as the memory faded, and I looked back at the letter. That grown child, the one who wrote to me, had no idea what Anna had carried, or what she had confessed, or what she had begged me to promise. But I knew, and my dear one, it broke my heart all over again, because the next line in the letter said, "If she ever reached you, please tell me what she said before she disappeared." Disappeared, oh, child. If only it had been that simple. Anna didn't disappear, no, she made a choice. One that still echoes in this old cabin. One I've never spoken of. Until now. I placed the letter gently on the table, fingers trembling. The air in the room felt thick, like memories were squeezing through the walls. I poured myself a small cup of winter-brewed cocoa, the strong kind elves only make when hearts are heavy. And as I sipped it, the steam curling past my beard like tiny ghosts, I made up my mind. "Sweetheart," I whispered into the empty room, "forgive me, but I can't ignore this. If that child, grown or not, had written their last Christmas letter, if this was the final wish of a breaking heart, then Santa Claus, weary as I am, could not, would not turn away. Not from pain, not from love, not from a story unfinished." And so, I pushed aside stacks of letters, lifted lanterns higher, and opened the old cedar drawer I hadn't touched in decades. Inside was Anna's journal, wrapped in red ribbon, sealed with frost-kissed wax, untouched since the day she left. And as I lifted it, goodness gracious, the cabin seemed to sigh. The wind outside hushed. Even the reindeer stilled in their stable, because they remembered, and they feared what came next. I set the journal beside the grown child's letter. 2 stories, 2 wounds, 2 truths twisted together across time. And I whispered, "My dear child, wherever you are, I'm gonna find your answer, even if it breaks Santa's heart all over again." *R. Sweetheart. The night I opened Anna's journal was the coldest I've felt in 100 years. Not cold on the skin. No, cold in the soul. You ever feel that? That strange shiver inside your chest? The one that ain't about weather, but about memory? That's what washed over me as I untied the red ribbon around her journal. The wax seal cracked with a sound so small, so delicate, it almost felt like a heart breaking. And for a moment, just a moment, I hesitated. "Bless your heart, old man," I whispered to myself. "Once you open this, there's no going back." The lantern light flickered against the walls, stretching shadows long across the cabin. The fire snapped, as if warning me. Even the wind outside quieted, like the whole North Pole leaned in, listening. I drew a deep breath, "My dear child," and opened the first page. And written at the top, in her soft, slanted handwriting. If Santa is reading this, it means I didn't make it back. Ah, goodness gracious! I felt my chest tighten. I closed my eyes, steadying my breath. No matter how many Christmases pass, no matter how many children I've carried hope for, there are still moments that pull the rug right from under my heart. I turned the page, and her story, her truth, began. My name is Anna, and I am writing this because I am no longer safe. Safe? My eyebrows furrowed beneath my snowy brows. Anna hadn't told me that. Not back then. Not when she arrived soaked from the storm. I don't know how long the shadows have been following me, she wrote. But they found me again last night. Double quotationos. My dear child, let me tell you something real clear. In my world, the old magical world, shadows don't mean darkness like night. Shadows mean forces that grow where pain grows. Creatures that feed on forgotten sorrow, and they rarely follow someone unless the person carries a wound deep enough to invite them. I swallowed hard and kept reading. Asterisk Santa. I didn't leave home because I wanted to. I left to keep him safe. My son, my heart sank. The grown child, the one who wrote to me, the one who begged for answers. This was his mother, and she hadn't run away from him. She'd run away for him. Oh, sweetheart, I whispered, my voice cracking. You carried all that alone? The cabin felt heavier now, air thick with grief that didn't belong to me, but still settled on my shoulders like frost. I turned the page again. Asterisk, he thinks I abandoned him, but I left to stop something from happening. Something? I leaned closer, brow tight, breath shallow. Anna continued. Every night, when he slept, the shadows whispered to me, telling me to do things I couldn't bear. I froze. You see, darling, there are ancient entities, older than Christmas, older than magic, that creep toward souls burdened with guilt and exhaustion. They twist whispers into nightmares, convincing mothers, fathers, children that they're failures, that their families would be better off without them, and when someone is too tired to fight back, the shadows take root. Anna wrote. I couldn't let them hurt him, so I followed the light instead. The light that led me to you. I felt tears burn my eyes. Not many folks know this, but Santa does cry, my dear child, quietly, softly, when no one's looking. I wiped my beard, steadying myself, and read on. Santa, I know I don't deserve your help, but if something happens to me, please tell my son it was never his fault. Goodness gracious! I had to set the journal down. The ache was too heavy. The fire crackled loud, like it was trying to fill the silence her words left behind. Outside, the wind began to moan again, dragging icy fingers across the window panes. But I wasn't done. Not even close. After a long, shaky breath, I picked the journal back up. And the next line chilled me deeper than the North Pole winter ever could. They're here now. The shadows found me. I don't know if I can outrun them this time. My heart thud. The page was smudged here, like a tear had fallen on the ink. Then, if they win, they will twist my story. They'll make him believe I left because I didn't love him. Santa, don't let that happen. I clenched the books so tight the old wooden chair creaked beneath me. I remembered that night, the night the blizzard howled, the night she arrived. Anna had said none of this, not a single word. She had protected her child even in silence. 12 minutes passed before I could turn the next page. And when I did, my whole world shifted because Anna wrote, "If I disappear, it won't be because I chose to leave. It will be because the shadows finally took me, my dear child." Do you understand what that means? Anna didn't leave her son. Anna didn't run away. Anna didn't abandon anyone. Something darker, older, hunted her down. And she came to me not for salvation, but to keep that darkness away from the person she loved most in the world. Her boy, the same boy who wrote to me all these years later, the same boy who never knew the truth. Lord have mercy. I leaned back, heart heavy, eyes burning with sorrow. I failed her. I whispered. She came here scared and alone, and I didn't see it. But that wasn't even the worst part, because Anna's final lines in that segment said, "Santa, if you're reading this, then they've already come for me." And with that, the lantern flickered violently. The fire hissed. A cold wind blew into the room even though the windows were shut. Because somewhere, out in the winter night, those shadows remembered me too. Darling, before I tell you the rest, let me take a slow breath. This part of the story, it ain't easy for me. The flames in this old fireplace flicker every time I recall it. All right, here we go. When I finished reading that page of Anna's journal, the one where she said the shadows had found her, I felt something stir in the room. Not outside, not in the storm, inside. Right here, in my cabin. Goodness gracious, child! The air changed, turned sharp, cold as broken ice. Even the candles leaned away from the darkness gathering in the corners. I closed the journal gently, placed a hand on its old cover, and whispered, "Oh, sweetheart, why didn't you tell me sooner?" The wind outside groaned against the wood, the whole cabin creaking like it remembered that night too. Because this right here, was the night the shadows came for her, and I lived it. Every breath, every heartbeat, every terrifying second. Let me take you back. It was near midnight, years ago. The storm was raging across the North Pole, snow twisting like wild spirits outside the windows. The sky was black, not winter black, but unnatural black. Not a star in sight. And in the corner of my cabin, Anna had finally fallen asleep, wrapped tight in the blanket I'd given her, her head resting near the old rocking chair, her breathing soft and trembling. Poor thing, she was exhausted. You could see it in the way her fingers curled even in sleep, like she was still holding onto something or someone she didn't want to lose. I sat nearby, warming my hands by the fire, keeping watch over her like she was my own child. And then, dear one, that moment still makes my bones ache. I heard a whisper. Not human. Not wind. Not elf. It sounded like someone dragging broken glass across a frozen lake. Long, slow, My heart froze, because I'd heard that sound once before, Long ago, when the darkness tried to crawl into my world through a broken child's dream, I stood slowly, quietly, my boots barely making a sound on the wooden floors. Anna, I whispered softly, "Darling, wake up." But she didn't move. Her eyelids fluttered, breath quickening, like she was slipping from sleep into something darker. Then the whisper came again. This time, inside the cabin. SHHHHHK. My lantern flickered violently, shadows in the room shacking like they were alive. I stepped closer to Anna, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Sweetheart, open your eyes, please." But before she did, before she could, a colder darkness spilled across the wall behind her. Not like a shadow cast from light. No, child. This one moved on its own. It slid slow and hungry up the wooden boards, stretching long, reaching toward her head like a hand made of smoke and regret. I felt my chest drop. Not again. I whispered, "Not tonight. Lord, have mercy." You see, these shadows, this ancient curse, they don't attack with claws. They whisper lies into the ears of the weary. They twist guilt into poison. They feed on the wounds nobody talks about. I took a step back, Callan old magic to my fingertips. But the storm outside roared suddenly, as if something was trying to break into the world. A window slammed open with a crack, and in that split second, Anna's eyes snapped open. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the shadow behind her, and her face. Sweet child, I'll never forget the terror in those eyes. "Santa," she whispered, voice trembling like a child's. "They found me." I lunged forward, wrapping my arms around her shoulders, pulling her away from the darkness that had nearly touched her. But the shadow hissed, a sound like metal tearing, and recoiled only for a moment before stretching again. Anna clutched my coat, breathing fast. "I can't fight it anymore, Santa," she cried. "It's stronger this time." "No, sweetheart." I held her tight. "You're not alone. Not tonight." But she shook her head violently, panic rising. "You don't understand," she gasped. "They want my regret. They want my guilt. They want what I never said out loud." The shadow twitched. Grew a darkened. And then, oh Lord, it began whispering in a voice that was almost hers. A twisted, broken version. "He hates you. He thinks you left because he wasn't enough. You deserve this." Anna shrieked, collapsing to her knees as her hands covered her ears. "No! No! Stop! Please! Stop!" I knelt beside her, pulling her into my arms, whispering against her hair, "Bless your heart, Anna. Don't listen. You hear me? Don't you listen to that evil for 1 second." But the shadow lashed out. Not at me, not at her. At her memory. And Lord have mercy. That kind of attack is the cruelest of them all. Her mind flooded. I could feel it. With every moment she thought she failed her son. Every moment she thought she wasn't enough. Every time she broke down in secret, thinking she was a burden. Every night she stayed awake to protect her boy, but cried because she felt unworthy of being his mother. And the shadow fed on it. I saw it. I felt it. Tears slid down Anna's cheeks like small rivers, her voice cracking. I loved him, Santa. I loved him so much. But I wasn't good enough. I wasn't safe to be round. My dear child. I grabbed her face gently, my thumbs brushing her tears. Look at me, sweetheart, I whispered, voice firm but gentle. You were a good mother, a brave mother, the best kind. Don't you ever let darkness rewrite your story. But the shadow surged again. This time, faster, stronger, its whole form rising from the floor like a storm in human shape. It lunged. And I reacted without thinking, slamming my palm into the floorboards. Callan ancient light from deep beneath the cabin. Magic that hadn't been touched in a century. The room exploded in a flash of golden fire. The shadow screamed. Anna collapsed into my arms. And when the light finally dimmed, the shadow was gone for the moment. But Anna, my dear child, Anna was pale as snow, shaking, cold, eyes wide, staring at something far away. They're not done, she whispered faintly. They'll come again, stronger. They want me, and if they take me, Santa, they'll take the truth with me. I held her gently, stroking her hair. You're safe now, I murmured. But she shook her head weakly. No, Santa, you don't understand. Her voice cracked, soft as breaking ice. Tonight was just the beginning. And she was right. Because what happened the next night? Lord have mercy. It changed the North Pole forever. Asterisk, sweetheart. That night Anna vanished. It haunts me still. I can hear the wind. I can feel the cold. And I can smell the pine and cinnamon in the cabin. But it doesn't warm the heart that remembers fear like this. After the shadow fled, just for a moment, Anna and I sat there in silence. The fire crackled weakly. Outside, the blizzard howled as if the North Pole itself was mourning. I held her hand. Her fingers were icy, shaking, not from the cold, mind you, but from terror that clawed at her soul. She whispered, Santa, they're coming again. I know it. They always do. My dear child. That's when the weight of centuries pressed down on me. I'd seen shadows. I'd felt magic. I'd saved children from grief and fear. But never had I felt this helpless. Anna, I said softly, brushing snowflakes from her hair that weren't really there, remnants of the storm outside. You're not alone. I will protect you. Always. She shook her head, tears slipping past her lashes. No, you don't understand, she whispered. They won't stop until I vanish. Until the truth vanishes with me. Her voice cracked. I felt it. The dread that had shadowed her life for years. The fear she carried silently, thinking she must protect everyone, even at the cost of her own heart. And my dear child, that's when she made the choice. She looked into my eyes, desperate, fragile, and said, almost pleading, Santa, promise me you'll watch over him. Don't let him think I abandoned him. I felt my chest tighten. Every fiber of me ached. I had never known grief like this. Not when parents were separated. Not when children cried. Not in all the centuries I've spent carrying the world's wishes. And yet, here was a grown woman asking me to guard the life she was about to disappear from. I swallowed hard. I nodded. Darling, I promise. She exhaled slowly. Her shoulders sagged. But Lord have mercy. Even as I watched her eyes soften, I could feel the shadows circling once more, stronger, hungrier, relentless. The wind outside roared like a great beast. Lanterns shook. Snow whipped against the windows like icy fingers. And then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. Vanished. No scream. No trace. Just the faintest shimmer of golden light fading into the storm. I called out her name. I ran to the doorway. The reindeer in their stable cried out in confusion. Even the elves at the workshop, hundreds of miles away, felt the tremor in the air. But she was gone. And my dear child, here's the worst part. I knew in that moment that she had left not because she wanted to, not because she could, but because she had no choice. The shadows had taken her, not to harm her son, not to punish her, but to erase the truth, to twist the story so her boy would grow up thinking she abandoned him. And it hurt. Oh, it hurt more than anything I can describe. Because I had failed. I had let her down. Even after centuries of delivering hope, I couldn't save her that night. I sank into my chair by the fire, the journal trembling in my hands. Her final words burned in my memory. If I disappear, Santa, please don't let him believe I left because I didn't love him. Bless her heart. She carried that burden even in vanishing, even in leaving me with the echoes of a storm and a promise I could barely uphold. I spent hours, no, days, searching the North Pole, calling to her, following the faint traces of magic only a mother could leave behind. But the shadows, oh, child, they were clever. They masked her, hid her, twisted reality around her. I kept her journal close, reading it over and over. Every word she had written, every confession, every secret. I memorized it like a prayer, like a spell that might one day bring her back. And the boy, the son, he wrote to me years later. That letter I found by chance. The one that started all of this. He didn't know the truth. He thought she abandoned him. He carried the weight of her leaving like it was his fault. Like he wasn't loved. And I, oh, my dear child, I carried the guilt of watching a mother vanish while promising her son I would protect him. Lord have mercy. You can't imagine the ache of centuries like that. But here's the thing, and listen close. Even in heartbreak, even in shadows, even in regret, hope finds a way. Because Santa doesn't give up. Not on children, not on mothers, not even on the shadows that think they can erase love. I made a vow that night, sitting by that fire, holding Anna's journal and listening to the storm. I will find her. I will protect him. I will uncover the truth, no matter how long it takes. And my dear child, that's when the journey began. The journey that would take me across storms, across centuries, across truths even I was afraid to confront. Asterisk, now listen closely, sweetheart, because what happened after Anna vanished, it changed me in ways even I still struggle to admit. The storm outside didn't calm for 3 full days. Not a single elf laughed. Not one bell chimed. The entire North Pole held its breath, as if the world itself knew something sacred had been taken. And me? I sat by the fire, her journal resting on my lap, my hands shaking like an old tree in winter. The pages smelled faintly of pine, the same scent she carried on her coat the night she disappeared. and every time I turned a page, the cabin creaked, as though the wood itself leaned closer to hear the truth. Santa, I whispered to myself, you made a promise. Don't you dare give up now, but Lord have mercy. It was the next entry in Anna's journal that sliced me clean open. A few days before she vanished, she had written, if anything happens to me, it won't be because I stopped loving my son. It will be because I finally remembered the truth they tried to make me forget. I froze. My breath turned cold enough to fog the air right in front of me. Remembered the truth. What truth? Who was they? And why would remembering put her in danger? I flipped the page, hands trembling so hard I nearly tore it. And there, in thin, shaky handwriting, were the words that nearly stopped this old heart. Santa knows more than he remembers. Sweetheart, I swear on the reindeer's reins. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Me? Forget something? Impossible. I carry centuries of memories, every child's wish, every letter, every kindness, every heartbreak. But the journal didn't lie. Anna had written it with a hand full of fear and a heart full of truth. Santa knows more than he remembers. I closed my eyes, and suddenly, faint, blurry, like a candle flickering behind frost, I saw something. A memory dot, but not a full one. Just an echo, snow swirling in slow motion. A woman's voice crying out. A golden light wrapping around a small child. And shadows, the same ones from the night Anna vanished, reaching their fingers toward me. I gasped and grabbed the arm of my chair, because that voice, that cry, it wasn't Anna's dot, it was older, centuries older. I stood up, walked to the frosted window, looked out toward the endless white world stretching into the dark, and I whispered, someone erased my memory. Child. That realization chilled me deeper than any storm, because it meant someone, or something, powerful enough to bend ancient magic, had stolen a piece of my past. And Anna, bless her brave soul, she had remembered hers. That's why they came for her. That's why she vanished. That's why she begged me to protect her boy. Because she knew the truth they had stolen from me. Lord above, I felt sick, like the cabin walls were closing in, like the ice outside was cracking open beneath my feet. I sank into my chair, gripping the journal tight as if it were the last piece of her I could hold. And then I heard something I hadn't heard in centuries. A bell. But not a Christmas bell. Not a sleigh bell. Not a work bell from the toy shop. This bell rang from deep in the north. Past the ice fields. Past the cliffs. Past the lights of the aurora. A bell older than Santa himself. A bell that only rings when ancient magic stirs. My whole body went cold. Because that bell, it rings only when something I lost is calling me back. I stood up slowly. My boots felt 1,000 pounds heavier. The fire dimmed. The wind outside fell silent, as if waiting. I whispered, Anna, what did you remember? That they made me forget? The bell rang again, far away, echoing like the cry of an ancient beast. My dear child. That sound meant only one thing. The truth was waking up. And if the truth was waking, so were the shadows. Sweetheart. Before I go on where Santa follows that ancient bell, discovers who stole his memories, and uncovers the first real clue to Anna's fate, let this old man ask gently, my dear one, before I tell you the rest, if this story has touched your heart even a little, subscribe and stay close to me till the end. Asterisk the night that old bell rang. Goodness gracious! Even after centuries, it rattled something deep inside my bones. You see, sweetheart, that bell wasn't meant for ordinary ears. Not for elves, not for reindeer, not even for the snow spirits who guard the far northern winds. That bell was meant for me, only me, and it only rings when a piece of my past, one I'm not supposed to remember, breaks free from whatever spell is holding it. So when I heard that long, hollow sound echoing across the ice fields, I knew the shadows were trembling. I knew something slipped. I knew the truth Anna remembered was clawing its way back to me. I grabbed my coat, lit a lantern, and stepped outside. The cold hit me like 1,000 needles, the kind that goes straight to the marrow. The sky above swirled with green auroras, bending and twisting like ancient spirits, waking from centuries of slumber. Snow crunched under my boots, slow, heavy, uncertain. Even the reindeer lifted their heads, ears pinned back, their breath turning to fog in the frozen air. Quiet, children. I murmured to them, this isn't your burden tonight. The bell rang again, so far away, so impossibly deep. It felt like it was ringing inside the earth. I followed it. Through the snow fields, across the silent ridges, into a part of the North Pole I hadn't stepped foot in for over 500 years. A place I had forgotten existed. Lord have mercy. When you live as long as I have, forgetting isn't easy. But this place, this part of the pole, felt like someone had carved it out of my memory with a knife. The ice grew darker as I walked, the wind calmer, almost watchful. And with every step toward that ringing bell, a memory flickered behind my eyes. A woman's silhouette, a baby wrapped in golden cloth, a glow so bright it made the stars dim. Then nothing, like someone slammed a door shut inside my mind. I stopped, put a hand on my chest. The memories, they hurt, like shards of ice scraping against forgotten wounds. My dear child, I whispered to the empty air. What did they hide from me? The bell rang louder. It wasn't a church bell, not metal, not crafted by hand. It was alive. Magic shaped into sound. The lantern in my hand flickered as I approached a towering wall of ice, black as the deepest ocean. The bell's echo vibrated through it. I pressed my hand against the frozen surface, and the ice shifted beneath my palm, moved, breathed, responded to me. Goodness gracious, sweetheart, that ice wasn't ice at all. It was memory, sealed, locked, hidden from me by ancient magic. As my hand rested there, a voice whispered from the wine soft, trembling, one I hadn't heard in centuries. It said my name. Not Santa, not Saint, Nicholas, but my true name, the one I held before I ever carried a sleigh or delivered a gift. Hearing it almost brought me to my knees. I stumbled back, heart pounding like thunder in my chest. Then, from deep within the ice, I saw it. A shadow. Tall, slender, arms like tendrils of smoke, eyes hollow and endless. The same kind of shadow that took Anna. But this one was older, stronger. The source dotted leaned closer to the ice wall, as if recognizing me, as if delighted to see I had finally come looking for the truth. Lord have mercy. I breathed out, fog curling in front of me. Y'all again. The shadow didn't move, didn't blink, but its darkness rippled, as if laughing without sound. I gripped my lantern tight. Where is she? I asked. My voice cracked. Where is Anna? The shadow slowly lifted one long finger and pointed deeper into the ice, into the sealed place of memories. And child, that's when I realized to find Anna, to save her son from the truth eating him alive, to uncover what they stole from me, I would have to break the seal on the memories I'd forgotten, the memories someone or something never wanted Santa to remember. The bell rang again, so loud the ground trembled. Snow spiraled into the air. The ice wall glowed with golden cracks. And my dear child, as the seal began to break, I felt something awakening in me, something ancient, something powerful, something dangerous. The truth was coming, and once it started, there was no stopping it. The moment those golden cracks spread across the black ice, sweetheart, I felt something inside me shift, as if a great iron door in my chest creaked open for the first time in hundreds of years. The lantern light stretched long across the snow, bending strangely, like time itself was twisting around me. The wind paused. The aurora stilled. Even the falling snowflakes hung suspended in the air, as if the world held its breath. Bless my heart, I whispered, backing up one step. This ain't normal magic. The ice wall pulsed once, twice, like a heartbeat waking after centuries of sleep. And then the memory hit me. Not like a slow return, not like a blurry glimpse. No, child. It slammed into me like a tidal wave of golden fire. I stumbled, dropped to one knee. The lantern fell into the snow, casting a long, trembling glow across my shaking hands. I saw myself younger, not yet Santa, just a man wandering the frozen north long before history began to write itself. I saw a woman standing before me, glowing with warmth so fierce it could melt glaciers. Her hair like spun starlight, her eyes deep and ancient as the auroras. She held a child wrapped in golden cloth against her chest, and she was crying, not from fear, not from sorrow, from sacrifice. Please, she whispered to me in the memory, voice shaking like a candle in the wind. Do not let them take him. My breath froze in my lungs. Because, child, that woman, that radiant being, she was no ordinary mother. She was the keeper of light. One of the oldest magical beings to ever walk creation. Older than me. Older than the elves. Older than the northern winds. And the child in her arms was no ordinary baby. He radiated warmth, love, hope itself. And she was giving him to me. Oh Lord, I murmured, hand covering my mouth as the memory flooded in. No, it can't be. But it was. The memory continued. She pressed the child into my arms, her body shaking, her golden glow flickering like it was being smothered. They are coming for him, she whispered. They want to extinguish the light forever. But you can protect him. You can hide him from the shadows. I saw myself younger, frightened, overwhelmed. Looked down at that tiny child. The warmth in his small body nearly brought me to tears. And then I heard them, the shadows, thousands of them, screeching across the ice, tearing through reality, hungry for that light. The keeper of light cupped my face and said, in the most heart-shattering voice a mother ever spoke, "Take him, Nicholas. Guard him. Love him. Raise him as your own if you must." Asterisk, the shadows closed in. Her glow flared, and she pushed me backward, using the last of her magic to fling me thousands of miles away, to the place that would one day become the North Pole. The memory shattered like glass. The ice wall dimmed. I collapsed to my hands in the snow, gasping for breath, tears freezing on my beard. Because the truth, goodness gracious, the truth was too heavy to bear. I had raised that child. Centuries ago, I had protected him, hidden him, loved him. And then the shadows took him. They stole him from me. Not Anna. Not some stranger's boy. My boy. The one the keeper of light had entrusted to me. The one I had sworn to protect. The one whose disappearance had shattered my spirit so deeply that the ancient magic sealed the memory away so I could keep bringing joy to the world without collapsing under the grief. And Anna, sweet Anna, the woman whose letter started all of this, she carried the same light. She was connected to him. And the shadows, Lord have mercy, they came for her because she had begun to remember. I pressed my forehead into the snow, shaking, whispering, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't remember." The bell rang again, louder, relentless, not a warning now, but a summons. A summons to finish what began centuries ago. To find the keeper's child, my child, and Anna, whose fate was tangled in his to face the shadows once and for all. I rose slowly, breath trembling. "My dear child," I whispered, "not to you now, but to the one I lost. I'm coming for you. Daddy's coming." Asterisk, when I rose from the snow, breathing like I'd run through 1,000 winters, the world looked different, sharper, quieter, more alive, as if the truth I remembered had woken the North Pole itself. The auroras overhead flared into colors I hadn't seen since the day the Keeper of Light placed her child in my arms. Deep golds, ancient blues, that impossible white, warm like a mother's touch. "My boy," I whispered, and for the first time in hundreds of years, saying those words didn't feel like grasping at smoke. It felt real, alive, present. He wasn't just a memory anymore. He was out there, and the shadows had him. I picked up my lantern, now glowing brighter, warned by the truth, and walked toward the cracking ice wall. The shadow behind it watched me, still, silent, waiting for the moment I would do the unthinkable, break the seal. "Ah, darling," I murmured to myself, "this is how it has to be, isn't it?" I placed both my hands against the wall. The golden cracks pulsed beneath my palms, calling to the magic buried in my bones The ancient magic the keeper awakened in me centuries ago. Magic I'd forgotten. Magic they wanted me never to use again. The ice around my hands melted, not from heat, but from memory. Images rushed past me, my boy's tiny fingers gripping mine, his first laugh ringing like bells in the snow, his fear the night the shadows crawled into our world and ripped him away from me. Tears rolled hot down my cheeks. Sweetheart, I whispered through a trembling breath, hold on, just hold on for Daddy. And then, with a voice full of centuries of ache, I spoke the ancient word, a word older than Christmas, older than winter, older even than the North Star. The ice shattered, exploded outward in blazing golden shards. The shadows shrieked, pulling back, retreating into an endless corridor of black storm and swirling darkness. And right there, right beyond the cracked veil, I saw them, both of them, Anna bound in tendrils of shadow, her face pale, eyes glowing faint gold, fighting with every breath. And beside her, my boy, grown now, a young man, tall, gentle-faced, but exhausted, weak, his light smothered under centuries of darkness. His glow flickered like a dying ember. He looked up at me, and Lord have mercy. He remembered me. His lips trembled. Papa's child. I nearly fell to my knees all over again. All the centuries, all the lost years, all the nights I felt something missing and didn't know what it was. They poured through me in a single, breaking heartbeat. Yes, sweetheart, I choked out. It's me. I've come for you, both of you. But the shadows, those ancient, hungry things, they recoiled only for a second. Then they surged forward. Thousands of them like a storm made of claws, teeth, and bottomless night. Anna screamed. My boy doubled over, clutching his chest as if the darkness were ripping as his soul. No! I roared, and my roar cracked the frozen plain, cracked the air itself. For the first time in my life, in all my centuries, Santa stopped being a giver of gifts and became something far older, a guardian, a father, a warrior forged from hope and heartbreak. I lifted my lantern high, and it blazed with the pure, undiluted light of the keeper. The shadows writhed, shrieked, buckled under its warmth. My dear child, I shouted into the storming dark, you will not take them. Not today. Not ever again. I stepped into the rift, into the shadows' realm. The world around me twisted, a swirling void of screams, frost, memory, and darkness thicker than tar. But I walked, one step, then another, toward the two souls I had lost, toward the truth they tried to steal from me forever. My boy reached out, fingers shaking, eyes full of tears. Papa, I thought you forgot me. Sweetheart, that broke something inside me I didn't know could still break. I grabbed his hand, held it to my heart, and whispered through sobs, I never forgot you. I was made to forget, but I've come back for you. I'll never leave you again. Then I touched Anna's cheek, felt the heat of fear and hope tangled together, and told her the truth she had always known in her heart. You are part of the light too, darling. You are connected to him, to us. They came for you because you remembered. because your heart is braver than even you knew." Her lips quivered. Santa held her hands tight. And then the shadows struck. They lunged, thousands at once, trying to smother the light, trying to take back what I had reclaimed. I lifted the lantern and the final battle began. Asterisk, the shadows lunged at us, hungrily, like they could devour not just flesh, but centuries of memory and hope. But I stood firm. My lantern blazed brighter than the northern auroras. A golden fire fed by love, regret, and the unyielding promise I had made to Anna and to my boy. I could see the terror in their faces. Anna's pale, glowing with gold beneath the shadow tendrils. My boy, trembling, but holding on to the faint light that had never fully faded from him. "Hold on to me," I shouted. "Cling to the light. Cling to each other." The shadows screeched, swirling, converging like a storm given life. But every time they touched the golden light, they shrieked and recoiled. Their darkness could not survive the warmth of truth, of love, of remembrance. I stepped forward deeper into their swirling mass of night, and the memories flooded me. I saw the keeper of light, the mother who had entrusted her child to me centuries ago, standing tall and proud, smiling through tears. I remembered every promise I had made, every night I had watched over that child, every laugh, every tear, every fear I had carried alone. And I roared, not like Santa, who delivers toys, but like Nicholas, the guardian of hope, the father, the one who had refused to let shadows take what he loved most. The shadows screamed and thrashed, but their edges began to fray. My lantern burned brighter, fueled by every ounce of love and memory, every ache and regret I had endured. "Anna," I called, holding my hands out toward her. "You are stronger than the darkness. You have always been stronger." Her hands trembled, but she grasped mine. And at that moment, my boy reached out too. The three of us clasped hands, forming a circle of golden light that pulsed outward, cutting through the shadows, like dawn piercing a stormy night. The shadows shrieked once more, and then began to fade, dissipating into nothingness. The wind stilled. The auroras danced brighter than ever, swirling in colors I had never seen: greens, golds, blues, all merging into a symphony of light. And there, in the quiet aftermath, I looked at them. Anna, free of the shadow tendrils, glowing softly, tears streaming down her face. My boy, alive, whole, his own light shining fully now. I felt the weight lift off my shoulders for the first time in centuries. "My dear child," I whispered to my boy, voice trembling. "I failed to remember you. I failed to protect you once. But I will never fail again. Not now. Not ever." He looked up at me, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "I never stopped believing in you, Papa, even when I didn't know why." Anna took a step forward, her hand on my shoulder. "Bless your heart, Santa," she said softly. "You kept your promise. You remembered. You came back. And in that moment, I understood the truth fully. The shadows had been powerful. Yes, they had taken, twisted, and hidden. but they could never destroy what was born of love, courage, and memory. Centuries of sorrow, centuries of hope, centuries of magic, all came together in this one golden moment. I knelt in the snow, holding both their hands, the auroras painting the sky above us in brilliant, eternal light. Sweetheart, darling, my dear ones, I whispered softly, tears freezing in my beard. If you ever doubt, if you ever feel lost, remember this night. Remember the light. Remember that love cannot be taken, only remembered. The shadows were gone, the storm faded, and the North Pole, oh, my dear child, the North Pole itself seemed to breathe. Sighing with relief, as if the world itself had been waiting for this reunion, we returned to my cabin, the fire crackling warm and steady. We sat together, holding each other close, and for the first time in hundreds of years, I felt complete. Not just Santa, not just a bearer of gifts, but a father, a protector, a man who had faced his deepest regret and triumphed through love. If you stayed with me till the very end, my dear child, thank you. Tell me the time and country you're watching from in the comments. It warms this old Santa's heart to know where my stories travel. Remember this, the shadows may come, the past may whisper, but love is the one light they can never steal.